Welcome to the Oracle Sports Podcast. I'm the assistant sports editor, Tobey Blair. Today we are missing our usual host, Mithil Vyas. He is doing another job because he likes that one more than this one. Today I am joined by managing editor and former sports editor, Noah Vinsky.
Back.
Some might call him the forefather of the Oracle Sports Podcast, but the viewer would not know that until now.
That's some lore.
I'm also joined by correspondent PK Nkembo.
What's good?
He is our men's soccer guy, so he will talk to you a little bit about men's soccer today. But before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about football, obviously coming off a UTSA win, going into Navy. But more than that, USF has entered itself into the national conversation for college football playoffs. So what an interesting time. And then we'll talk a little men's and women's basketball. Season's getting started. Tell me a little bit about UTSA. He was very eager to talk about it. So tell me a little, Noah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a game I was a little worried about. Admittedly, it just seemed like a textbook trap game, just strictly based off vibes. But yeah, I mean, when you start the game with a first play pick six, it really sets the tone. Got to say, one of the strangest games I've seen, just from it's not often you see a team up 14-0 and their offense hasn't even taken the field yet. But yeah, it was just an absolute blowout, 55-23. I think a really good right the ship win after that tough Memphis loss. But yeah, I mean, probably the finest game I've seen Byron Brown play in a Bulls uniform. He was absolutely incredible.
14 for 15.
14 for 15.
239 yards, 2 touchdowns, almost 100 QBR. Averaged 16 yards a completion. I mean, that was maybe Byram's defining game of this season. He has certainly been very good on the ground, but nobody has doubted that. I don't think coming into this season even anybody doubted that Byron Brown can run the ball. The questions have always been, can he throw the ball? Against UTSA, he certainly could throw the ball. Even then, he still led the team in rushing yards, averaged 12 yards a carry, a touchdown, had a long of 36. I mean, just that was one of those games where, like Noah, and we talked about this on last week's episode of the podcast. It was kind of concerning because it was like UTSA had obviously just upset Tulane. I actually asked Alex Golish after the game if he took that into consideration, and he said no, because Alex Golish is known for his incredibly thought-provoking answers and all that. So he was not at all worried about them upsetting Tulane. Maybe USF fans were, but that was put to bed in about 8 seconds as they returned the first play of the game for a touchdown. But what an interesting game. I like that. That's a good way to summarize that game.
I don't think Golish was worried about the time of possession either.
He was not, and he actually mentioned it before anybody could ask a question. He was not. The time of possession is not something he thinks about. Good on him, I guess. If you win by 30, you don't have to possess the ball. But that it was an odd game. I think that going into that, it did look like there was going to be some kind of trap game vibe to it. Obviously, they had just beaten Tulane, and now the American is somehow, some way, back in USF's hands after they pretty much lost it against Memphis, and now it looks like, despite all the wrongs, they've been righted again. You have a tough game against Navy, and then UAB and Rice, who I would not perhaps describe as tough games. So a lot to look forward to for USF fans going forward.
I mean, I think surpassing expectations in year three is just a light way to say it. When it's you're watching I never would have imagined USF even being in the college football conversation, let alone actually being projected to play Georgia in the first round on the road, which is scary with probably a separate conversation to have. It's been an incredible season. It really has. Putting that blip against Memphis aside, just the leaps and bounds that this offense has made in year three under Golish, and the defense finally coming together. There's been real, at times, the past two seasons, you've really seen that aggressive Todd Orlando blitz heavy, turnover prone defense come to light. But now I think this season it's really, really been something special. And yeah, it's one of those classic like win and you're in situations now. Like the American Conference has turned into maybe one of the best playoff races in the country right now. I believe USF's slated to play UNT right now. If the season ended now, it'd play UNT in
the American Conference Championship. If everyone wins out, I do believe is USF, UNT at Rachell, which incredible turn of events here. Tulane is obviously still in the conversation. Memphis is not. Memphis is on the outside, but with a loss, Memphis could find themselves back in. Navy could find themselves knocking on the door with a win against USF. There's a lot to be had. This is going to be a really interesting last 3 weeks of football for the American Conference. But it's the storyline really is that going into this season, USF was supposed to contend. And I don't think that was I don't think that was a question. 7-6, 7-6, 6-6 in the regular season 2 times in a row. Okay, now it's time to really break through. You have like your first full team of guys that you've gotten on this team. Now is your first time to really break through. I don't even think that when we were looking at breaking through, we thought it was going to be this 7-2, looking to kind of shut the door on any conversations. Obviously, outside of the American, you have James Madison, which is like, are we being serious? But I guess they're actually ranked higher in the AP poll, but maybe that's a testament to how bad the AP poll is.
Shots.
Which we've had our fair share of disagreements with on the podcast. But outside of it's USF, North Texas, James Madison somehow is in the conversation. I think they've beat one team with a winning record, so good for them, I guess. But the Sun Belt is not like the American Conference, and I think that maybe the AP poll voters haven't realized that, but the College Football Playoff Committee has. So it'll be a really interesting last 3 weeks to see how this ends up.
Strength of schedule truly is a wonderful thing. I think before the season we were kind of kicking and screaming like, oh my God, you're playing Boise State, Florida, Miami. Be lucky if USF wins one of those games, let alone 2. But yeah, I mean, I think the strength of schedule, just like objective. James Madison's, what was the toughest opponent they played? Louisville,
and they lost by 2 touchdowns.
Lost by 2 touchdowns. USF has played 4 ranked opponents, beaten 2 of them. It's a lot simpler than it looks. I think if USF wins, they go to Navy, which that'll be a tough test in Annapolis. They did etch out a win there 2 years ago. Obviously got steamrolled at home last season. So, and if you win the games that you're supposed to win against, opponents that you outrank, UAB and Rice, 2 teams that have also given you trouble in recent years.
UAB, that was a fun game, and then Rice was not a fun game. But UAB was an interesting game last year. I actually covered it as a correspondent when I was a wee little Oracle lad. But now I am grown, and I will cover it again. But, yeah, UAB was an interesting game last year. Rice was – what a game that was to watch. That was from a USF perspective, probably a very frustrating game to watch. But it didn't – I guess this is the thing, is that game didn't really matter. They had already made the bowl game eligibility. It was just kind of, what's the difference, 7-5 and 6-6? Not much. But now it matters a lot, and this goes back to what Golish has been constantly reiterating. How special is it to be playing meaningful games in November? How special is it to be, you're going to probably be playing meaningful games in December. Incredible turnaround for a team that went 6-6 and was, to my knowledge, the Golish was kind of being looked at it as this year was make it or get out, do something special or get out. And And I would argue that this is probably something special.
I think the meaningful games thing's really interesting because obviously those late November games, USF's been at that 5-win threshold, trying to get that 6th win, trying to get that bowl eligibility. That wasn't a place that USF wanted to be in this year. Yeah, you had those two postseason appearances, very much overdue. 2 back-to-back bowl wins.
This guy was here for Jeff Scott, so he has some interesting thoughts about bowl games.
It was certainly a privilege to see USF in back-to-back bowl games. Very, very good bowl games in terms of just like a game perspective. But I don't think anybody wanted to see USF in the Meineke Car Care Bowl, the Birmingham Bowl, against some other.
He's going back to some Jim Leavitt
some
era.
Sun Belt, some Mountain West. I don't know what kind of bowl game.
The Fenway Bowl.
Fenway Bowl.
Fenway Bowl is a cool location, cool, maybe not a cool bowl.
But I think it's. I remember the past 2 years we're looking at these bowl projections, and it's like, wow, we're slated to play. I don't know, Nevada State or something, and now you're looking at it. Well, they could play in the first round of the college football playoffs against Georgia, and it's just so strange, just like the year to year. The difference, and now it's a whole different brand. I don't want to say they haven't been playing meaningful football games this late in the season the past couple of years, because like I said, they've been fighting for that bowl eligibility, but it's a whole different beast when it's like we're playing for the conference championship, we're playing for a New Year's Six bowl appearance, on ESPN, like the kind of coveted spot for a college football team to play in against some of the big guys with those big SEC schools and the Big Ten schools. It's just it kind of amazes me when you kind of put it in those terms. Like
it is something to behold, and so something that is perhaps a little funny that I've seen on the wonderful app known as X the past few days is that when it came out, there was a lot of Alabama fans who were saying, like, please, for the love of God, Georgia beat South Florida because we don't want to deal with that again. Which is so, it's just, obviously, USF plays Alabama next year. Is that in Alabama, I believe? It is.
I believe so.
On Nick Saban Field, in Bryant-Denny. But USF certainly has their work cut out for them. Maybe a podcast topic for when we get a little bit closer. I've seen Georgia, Texas Tech, be the two teams that it looks like if USF wins the conference championship, will play. Both of them, obviously, really good football teams, really daunting opponents for USF. And obviously, in the first round of the college football playoff, it won't be at a neutral site. If you play Georgia, it's in Athens. If you play Texas Tech, it's in Lubbock. So have a fun time. Those are both incredible environments. The incredible environments of college football really will certainly be a lot of fun to watch. I know that we will certainly make our best effort to be there because there's nothing like college football, and that's just something that we've gotta try and make it to. But
yeah, I know as journalists, we gotta be objective and neutral. You just can't deny how exciting of a season it's been. It's been so fun. This has been totally something. I feel like I don't want to put the cart before the horse. Obviously, we still got 3 games to play. Obviously, it could be an entirely different conversation next week if USF drops this game to Navy. But I feel like from that first snap against Boise State, or at least you could tell early on that, like, okay, like this team's come to play, and the foot has been on the gas. 2+ months later, and now we're sitting week 9, 10, game 9, 10, and
because really the only game this season where USF hasn't looked like itself was Miami, and obviously Miami has done what Miami does every year. Cristobal is cristoballing, but when they played in week 3, it was like, oh my God! If you want to go back and get the receipts on the on the podcast, me and Mythel, who's not here, but me and Mythel maintained the entire season until they lost. Miami should be the number one team in the nation. They are an incredible football team. They still are, despite Carson Beck doing what he does best, throwing 4 interceptions. But, still, that's the one game, because even the Memphis loss, yeah, that team kind of collapsed in like this incredible way that was not fun to behold for South Florida fans. But they still looked like USF. They still looked like a really good football team. Memphis just happens to also be a really good football team. And now Memphis has done USF's bidding by losing to Tulane. Tulane is, so it's kind of, they're all killing each other in the bottom, and USF has kind of prevailed as this one team like it was before the Memphis game. But, yeah, I agree with, as objective as I am as a reporter, my love for college football is not objective. And watching a season like this it was a similar feeling to Boise State last year, where it's just like sometimes, we get so caught up in this team would beat that team, and the SEC loves their hypotheticals, but sometimes it's nice to just sit back and go, wow, this is like a really special football team. This is a really special player. Like when you watch Ashton Jeanty last year, and this is not at all comparing Ashton Jeanty's success to Byron Brown, but when you watch Ashton Jeanty last year, everybody's talking about, him or Travis Hunter. Why can't we just sit back and be like, wow, those are 2 really special football players? When you're looking at a guy like Byron Brown, Heisman, whatever, you want to say that, probably not going to happen. You can look at Mendoza, you can look at Simpson, you can look at Brown, you can look at whoever, and you go, wow, those are really special football players. I love this sport. I love being able to watch it. It's incredible, and it's an incredible privilege to be able to do it, especially here. So it'll be a special last 3 weeks, regardless of the outcome, just because football's a fun sport to watch. And at the end of the day, I love the sport.
Yeah, and one last note here before we move on. I think the American as a whole should be a power conference. I think this season has proven. Come on, this has been cinema. This has been the best conference in football.
It has been a very
don't
good.
Shake your head,
it has been a very good conference.
Don't shake your head. Come on.
The issue, I like where your head's at.
Come on,
it's a very top-heavy
Tim Pernetti,
conference.
if you're listening.
Tim Pernetti, if you watch this,
I have an idea for you.
Yeah, just
it could make you a lot of money.
Yeah, I like where your head's at. The issue with that is that you have Charlotte and Tulsa.
Hey, all due respect to you, Charlotte.
Yeah. Hey, no, I mean not all due. They're 1-10, 1-9,
It's all right. Yeah, every conference needs to have a little brother.
Every conference has their Rutgers.
I was exactly yeah.
Every conference needs their Rutgers.
Every conference needs their what? Mississippi State.
Hey, nothing wrong with Mississippi State. They almost have beaten a lot of good teams this year.
Yeah,
the SEC so deep.
I would say Vanderbilt, but not this year.
And Vanderbilt every other year. Baseball, good baseball school. But I feel like we have expounded upon that a lot, and now we can expound upon a team that had a very special season 2 years ago and is looking for a special season this year. USF men's basketball. Win the first game. I don't think anybody thought the game against FAMU was going to be competitive. And then you get a special time to go to Connecticut, go to George Washington. You don't go to George Washington, they're in D.C., but you go to Connecticut to play George Washington. And 95-99, very high-scoring college basketball game. But doesn't fall USF's way. We talked about this a little beforehand. Stop shooting the ball. What is the beyond the arc action for USF has been incredible in a bad way. Because it's just not been where it needs to be. I imagine that Brian Hodgson will figure that out. And I think we said this last week, and I'll say it again. He said that he didn't know if USF's defense was really good or if their offense was really bad. He figured it out. They can't shoot the ball for anything right now. Hoping to correct that. USF is certainly hoping to correct that.
Yeah.
They are shooting, 262? 26% from 3? Dude, I mean, what is like Shaq's career 3-point percentage? It's around there. It's around there. You're shooting 26% as a team. Pack it up, drive the ball, put the ball in the paint.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second, just because I've seen this story before. It's obviously you're playing.
If you quote Deion Waiters, I'm kicking you off.
I will not. It's in the back of my head. I'm not going to bust that out right now. It's 2 games. I don't want to make any overreactions. I think it's overreaction season.
Of course.
For college hoops, and of course that's part of the media's role. We gotta fill the airwaves somehow. But I just want to take a step back to 2023. Rest in peace, Amir Abdur-Rahim, special man, special coach. But that season, I think when you have these drastic roster overhauls, obviously bringing in a bunch of different transfers, a bunch of different commits from Arkansas State. Obviously, Brian Hodgson, fourth coach in 4 years, I believe. In 23, obviously that was just one of the best years in USF men's basketball history. Most wins ever, regular season conference championship, March Madness snub, but an NIT appearance and an NIT win over UCF. That season started pretty rough. I remember the conversation around that team when you had Chris Youngblood and Stelton Miguel and Case and Pryor. Dropped some pretty bad games I have it pulled up right now. Back to back to back. Lost to Maine, lost to Hofstra, lost to UMass, lost to Central Michigan. Started the season off rough.
Being
and
reminded.
Then all of a sudden you play a neutral site game against Florida State.
Really? They lost to UMass?
Lost to UMass. You never want to lose to the Minutemen. 10-point loss to UMass.
It's reminding me.
And all of a sudden you go down to Sunrise, play a neutral site game against Florida State, and you win by 16. And then, I think they ripped off like 16 straight wins after that. Now, I don't want to say that this is going to be the case this season, Matt, but I think what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way is that these things take time.
Yeah, and we have been anti-overreaction on the podcast before because that is something that people do tend to do. I think that maybe this is, hey, I'll be honest with you, person watching this, and Noah Vinsky, who's sitting right there. This might be a reaction to last season when, to start the season under Ben Fletcher, obviously that season was played under horrendous circumstances. You never want to have what happened happen. But I remember watching Jameel Reynolds in transition just continuously pull from 3. And that was what an experience that was, because it was just kind of like, hey, you are 7 feet tall. Don't do that. You're not Victor Wembanyama. He didn't exist yet in my mind. Yeah, he did, but not actually. He's having a great season this season. But Victor Wembanyama, can we talk about him? No, we cannot. But maybe it's that. I think that the issue is like when you have a guy, Joseph Pinion transferred here from Arkansas State with Hodgson, and he was kind of heralded as that three-point shooter. Against George Washington, he was 1 for 13. Against FAMU, he was 1 for 8. After like the 5th one, you've got to just call it. Okay, maybe today's not my day. We'll hit the gym tomorrow, and we'll come back against Coppin State tonight. When you hear this, it'll already have happened. And maybe he'll go 10 for 10, and I'll look like an idiot right now. But I think that's the thing where it's just like at some point you've got to kind of, maybe fix it up a little bit. One thing that I've noticed watching them that can't be really told in the statistics is it doesn't seem like they're running as much organized stuff as they're running just kind of like guy gets the ball, dance around for a little bit, put up a shot. And it worked because they scored 95 points in no overtime, 102 points in no overtime. So they're certainly scoring a lot. I think that they could probably be scoring more efficiently, but that will, like you said, I completely agree. It'll come with time. That is very much a come with time thing.
Can I do it now? Can I do it now?
Do it and we'll clip it.
There. For the record,
I'd rather go 0 for 30 than 0 for 9 because you go 0 for 9. That means you lost your confidence. I don't know the full quote, but that means you lost your confidence.
That was exactly it.
Yeah. So maybe that Brian Hodgson with his Navy SEAL training has just instilled a deadly level of confidence in USF men's basketball, and they don't care how many times they miss the ball because they beat FAMU. So they're locked in, and I trust genuinely that it'll. Brian Hodgson is obviously a very good coach, so that will take time. But another, and this is such a weird thing to say, another new basketball coach, no Jose Fernandez, Shell was Baxter,
Oh my God.
has USF women's basketball at 2-0, but we were at the FAU LIU game.
Were.
What an interesting game that was. Kind of came down to the wire, which you never want against a team that is LIU. That I hadn't, maybe somebody's going to tell me I don't know ball, but hadn't really heard of them until they played Florida in football this year, where they also lost by a lot. But you don't want that to happen. Obviously, the big storyline this year has been, where is Carla Brito? What's going on? They said she had a lower foot injury. Not really wanting to play that right now because you have some big opponents like Duke, UConn, South Carolina coming up. Want to save that. But ultimately, if you're playing LIU close, maybe you shouldn't be worrying about Duke and South Carolina and UConn because you might have some bigger problems. But I don't know. What do you think, Noah Vinsky?
Laura Putu is maybe one of the best offensive rebounders I have seen.
Yeah, that has been crazy.
It's been a joy to watch her completely just clean the glass. 12 rebounds, FIU, 9 in LIU.
Had a double-double against FIU, I
Had a
believe.
double-double against FIU, 20 points, 12 rebounds.
That's a
Getting to the stripe, 10 for 11 from free throws against FIU.
Yeah, they're shooting 67% from the free throw line this year. So
Come on. Can you repeat that one more time? Can you repeat that? We're going to clip that again.
I know you were so worried about their free throw percentage as a team. I'd like to point you to maybe a percentage that should worry you. They're shooting 15% from three.
Dude,
So maybe both teams need to come together in the Gingling Center and just start shooting the ball. Really get the form down because neither team seems to be getting the three ball. Me and Noah were at this game, and we were not covering it, so we were in the student section because we're students of this university. And if you don't go to USF games, you won't know this, but we were very locked in on getting a shirt. And they throw out shirts when they make three-pointers.
oh, my God. That was so
Safe to
frustrating.
say we did not get a shirt, and that can be exhibited by the fact that they're shooting 15% from the arc this year. We did not get a shirt. Maybe next game.
There were only 2 shirts given out.
And they were given to the same person.
If I remember correctly, they were given to the same person.
Which was something we were quite frustrated about in the moment. In our section, there was 2 shirts given out, and they were the same person. So, athletics, if you want to give me a shirt,
Yeah.
I'd like one. I sometimes wear them around campus. I tend to wear them to the gym when I go. So, athletics, if you want to, you know where to find me.
Can we take a quick 30 seconds? Can you give us a Yingling Center hot dog review?
Oh, Yingling Center hot dog review was actually pretty good. It was a big dog, bigger. The one thing that I don't like, here's what I'll say: it was stuck in a tin foil. It was in like a bag, like a kind of tin foily bag. I personally prefer my hot dogs to be in the little the little red and white kind of like plates.
You're not eating shawarma. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't need the tinfoil.
Yeah, I agree. But the dog was pretty good. The bun was pretty good. Nothing to call home about, but certainly a good hot dog. A little expensive, a little on the expensive side, but we all have to make ends meet. Got to pay Byron Brown somehow. So the little extra money on the hot dog, nothing wrong with it. It was pretty solid.
Yeah, hot dog profits go straight into the Byron Brown NIL
straight into
fund.
straight into the Fowler Avenue Byron Brown NIL fund. So what a topic, what to talk about. And speaking of hot dogs, Let's talk men's soccer. PK, take it away.
Well, before I get started, just want to say it's cold outside, so excuse my voice. You put an African man in the cold, this is what you get. So
It is cold.
it's a little cold. Anyway, let's.
Oh, he's locked in.
All right. Anyway, so it's been a long season for the USF Bulls. You know, they've played 17 games within the past 3 months, and you know, heading into the season, there were high expectations. If you look back, the Bulls had a recruiting class that was ranked number 15 nationally, according to Top Drawer Soccer. We had 7 true freshmen and then 8 experienced transfers from all over the world, and our team is really representative of the global identity behind soccer. We have players from 12 different countries. My personal favorite, Fabio from Germany, you know, go. Anyway, I don't think I can say that. But we have people from Germany, Iceland, Japan, Netherlands, all over. So, you know, heading into this, we were expectant that, you know, we would see some production out of the Bulls. And at the beginning of the season, we kind of did, you know. We had a strong start in which within the first 12 matches of the season, we were undefeated, but 5 of those were ties. So take with that what you want.
I remember getting that press release.
Yeah.
Bulls are undefeated.
Undefeated.
I don't know how
A lot of
impressive that
ties.
is. To me, it's not that impressive just because, like, this is America and, like, I'm trying to see wins, not ties. Anyway.
I thought I was about to get political. I was scared. This is strictly sports podcast.
No. But yeah, so headed into that with that record, you know, 7 wins, 5 ties. The ties were kind of revealing something about the team. USF is a strong first half team. The Bulls would score at least 2 goals within the first half for the first 4 games. That's pretty impressive. But the second half kind of started to show some discrepancies. Whenever we look into it, actually, matches against UCF, Mercer, and our first loss against Missouri State all happened from second half mistakes.
Second half mistakes. Those are the worst mistakes to make.
Yeah, and I actually asked Coach about this, and I was like, Coach, you know, what's happening? Why is the second half not that strong? And Coach just said, we seem to be losing focus, and he's advocated for the team to, you know, focus during the game. He said they would figure it out, which I thought they did. And then we head into the postseason, you know.
Real heartbreaker.
The postseason was a little depressing. It was a home match against Tulsa. We played them earlier in the season, actually, and we actually beat them. So you would think this is a, you know, easy win. But Tulsa coming in 6th within conference ranking, they had something to prove. They scored first within that match. It was a good first goal, in my opinion. I probably can't also say that. But USF continued to produce. They scored 2 goals within the first half as well. It's a consistent pattern we've seen over time. And then in the second half, things went bad once again. Tulsa was able to equalize and tied the game 2-2 throughout the second half. And then heading into the overtime, which I would just like to make a small comment. Why does college soccer have golden goal? Like, what are we doing?
That is a question that I don't think either of us are equipped to answer. I am not on the NCAA committee.
This is not FIFA, respectfully. That's like a FIFA setting you do whenever you want to end the game super quickly, but in like an actual real sport, you should not be playing golden goal. Anyway, so heading into overtime, 43 seconds into the match, guys. 43 seconds into overtime, Tulsa scores immediately. And the game's over.
I remember this. This was on Thursday.
I was locked in on UTSA.
I believe so. I remember this though. I remember it was what an interesting time for USF athletics.
And so, what was supposed to be a glorified season, you know, third in the conference, you know, we were hoping to make a longer run, ended within 43 seconds of overtime.
Yeah, I'm no expert on soccer. That's why he's talking to you about it. But not good. Not a good thing to have happen. Yeah, and that's just a real heartbreaker. I do believe you told me that they all just you went to go talk and they just kind of ran away.
Yeah, and I want to say this on here. It's after a loss, you should be willing to speak to media because show me some maturity. But whatever.
You got a problem with that?
They didn't want to speak to me.
I would be pretty upset personally if my season ended. You play a whole game, 43 seconds.
But there also was a couple players that I did want to highlight from the season. Fabio Bosnan, Germany player. He led the team with 8 goals and 6 assists. I think that came out to 19 points in terms of soccer points, goals, assists, contributions, all of that. And then also Brandon Niar. Ooh, let me not butcher this guy's name.
Some of those soccer names are scary to pronounce.
Brandon
Byron Brown.
Nyagurungo. That's what the pronunciation says. If I doctored it, my bad. But he showed up later in the season where he scored he scored in every game of the last 3 games. And he made his presence known, setting up an assist in the match against Tulsa. But that's ultimately all we saw out of him. And then,
we have one last requested topic. Noah Vinsky has been hard at work for 3 years now on USF Stadium. He's been our guy for that. New renderings of the operations center came out. He wrote a great article about it on USFOracle.com. But he wants to enlighten you, dear viewer, about it right here, so you don't have to go read that. But you still should.
Yeah, we finally have more renderings, because who doesn't love renderings? This time of the operations center, which will kind of be the administrative home for the Bulls, kind of less exciting, but still cool.
It's going to be a barbershop?
Let's see some features. Yeah, a barbershop and a golf simulator. Those are some of the 2 of the exciting features. But
You think they'll let us? We're at USF Oracle. You think they'll let us get a haircut? I'll email someone.
Yeah,
I know a guy.
Yeah, you probably know a guy. That's a question for fall 2027. It'll feature coaches' offices, meeting rooms, dining areas, players' lounge, recovery facilities, weight rooms. Pretty awesome looking weight room, actually. It'll be directly attached to the stadium, so it'll be the entrance for the performance center will be there. The operations center, sorry, I get confused. It's adjacent to the performance center. It'll also be the entrance for some of the premium seating for the south tower of the stadium. But yeah, good stuff. We're about 2 years away from seeing this being built on campus. I drive by construction every day.
Here it is. I'm getting word actually right now that the Oracle office will also be in the basement of athletics department,
Awesome.
operations center. So
Perfect.
the Oracle's really
take it.
expanding. We're getting now when we go for interviews, we can just walk upstairs. So really good time to be an Oracle fan.
I heard we can use all the facilities too, the weight room.
I could use that. Look at this.
Yeah.
I could use that.
That means free haircuts for us.
Oh, please, I need one.
We'll get that gold card.
Hair's getting a little long, so I could use that. But I think that is all that we have. Do you have anything else?
That about wraps it up.
That about wraps it up. Thank you for watching. It was a pleasure to have you here. Obviously, a familiar face in me and some not familiar faces in them, but maybe they'll make a few more appearances throughout their time here at the Oracle. Thank you for watching. Check out USFOracle.com for all the athletics articles we post and all the news and opinion articles we post too. There's some good ones coming out in the next few days and forward. Thank you so much for watching. Tobey, Blair, nice to have you. Bye.